हेलो एवरीवन, आप सब जानते हो बजट 2021 रिलीज हो चुका है, राइट? एंड ऑलरेडी हमने वी हैव मेड अ वीडियो ऑन पिलर 1 दैट इज हेल्थ एंड वेलबींग. इस सेशन में अगले 10 से 15 मिनट में हम कवर करेंगे दी सेकंड पिलर ऑफ आवर बजट दैट फोकसेस ऑन फिजिकल एंड फाइनेंशियल कैपिटल एंड इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, राइट? इनफैक्ट द बजट सेज कि हमें अगर $5 ट्रिलियन इकोनॉमी का गोल अचीव करना है देन फिजिकल एंड फाइनेंशियल कैपिटल एंड इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. सो लेट्स सी बजट में इसके लिए क्या अनाउंसमेंट की गई. Firstly, for the manufacturing sector, it says that there is a scheme called Atmanirbhar Bharat Production Linked Incentive Scheme. Okay, for this scheme, a major allocation has been done. This scheme has been announced for 13 sectors, and 1.97 lakh crore is the allocation for this scheme. इस scheme के अंदर the purpose of what is in this scheme is that government is trying to incentivize the manufacturers in these 13 sectors that they come and set up their plant here and they meet some investment and production targets in our country and create employment, and then whatever production they will do they will get a incentive based on the value of production. जैसे मैं एग्जांपल लेके बताता हूँ. फॉर इंस्टेंस जैसे सेक्टर्स में अगर आप देखा जाए तो एक सेक्टर हो गया आपका. If we see the sectors, so one sector is your textile already, right? ऐसे ही दूसरा सेक्टर क्या है? दूसरा सेक्टर हो गया आपका इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स. ओके, इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स के लिए PLI स्कीम लॉन्च है, प्लस इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स मैन्युफैक्चरिंग के लिए अराउंड 40,000 करोड़ एक्स्ट्रा दे रखा है. ओके, 40,000 करोड़ एक्स्ट्रा है इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स मैन्युफैक्चरिंग. सो अगर मैं इस स्कीम का एग्जांपल देके बताऊं, सो अंडर दिस स्कीम if electronics manufacturers set up their plant in India and achieve some इन्वेस्टमेंट, कुछ इन्वेस्टमेंट और प्रोडक्शन टारगेट्स हैं. इन्वेस्टमेंट एंड प्रोडक्शन टारगेट सेट किए गए हैं कि ओनली देन अचीविंग दीज टारगेट्स दे विल बी एलिजिबल फॉर इंसेंटिव. इफ दे अचीव दीज टारगेट्स देन इन दैट केस दे विल गेट इंसेंटिव ऑफ 4% to 6% ऑफ देयर वैल्यू ऑफ प्रोडक्शन. ओके, उन्होंने जितना प्रोडक्शन किया है उसके 4 to 6% वैल्यू का उनको एक इंसेंटिव देगी गवर्नमेंट. ओके, सो ऐसे ही दूसरे सेक्टर्स के लिए भी इसको अब 13 सेक्टर्स के लिए लॉन्च कर दिया गया है. द पर्पस अगेन इज कि यहाँ पर ज़्यादा मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेटअप हो, ज़्यादा एम्प्लॉयमेंट क्रिएट हो, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेक्टर और कॉम्पिटिटिव हो, राइट? एंड दैट ऑल विल अल्टीमेटली कंट्रीब्यूट टू इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ ऑफ द कंट्री, राइट? इसके अलावा द नेक्स्ट इनिशिएटिव दैट इज बीन टेकन इज मेगा इन्वेस्टमेंट टेक्सटाइल्स पार्क, राइट? So under this initiative there will be textile parks will be created with world class infrastructure and plug and play facilities, right? World class infrastructure तो आप समझ गए होंगे. plug and play facilities means basically anyone can open their textile manufacturing unit very easily in these textile manufacturing parks. like काफी कोई hassles नहीं होगा, बड़ी ही easy way में they can open their textile manufacturing units, right? So what will be the purpose? So it will make global champions, right? So basically it will increase the competitiveness of Indian textile sector, and it will then be able to compete with Vietnam and Bangladesh, and right, and then India will able to export more of textile goods. It will also lead to creation of more employment and ultimately contribute to economic growth, right? And the budget says 7 such textile parks will be established over the next 3 years, right? Next thing is regarding infrastructure. So infrastructure में आप जानते होंगे already there is a initiative called National Infrastructure Pipeline. Basically 2019 से लेके 2024 तक जो भी सारा इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर क्रिएट करने का एक प्लान है ये, राइट? और what the budget says that firstly it has been expanded, जो पहले से जो इसमें है it has been expanded to 7,400 projects. Okay, and secondly you should also see one more thing, that the energy sector has maximum weightage here. Okay, 24% of the projects under the NIP is from energy sector. Please remember this, it is important from prelims point of view. So the budget proposes some mechanisms to arrange the funding, because इतना सारा इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर क्रिएट करना है तो उसके लिए फंडिंग चाहिए. तो फंडिंग के मैकेनिज्म्स हमारा बजट प्रपोज करता है. व्हाट आर दीज मैकेनिज्म्स? फर्स्ट इज डेवलपमेंट फाइनेंशियल इंस्टीट्यूशन. सो बजट में कहा गया है कि एक बिल लाया जाएगा पार्लियामेंट में, उससे एक DFI क्रिएट किया जाएगा. ये डेवलपमेंट फाइनेंशियल इंस्टीट्यूशन विल एक्ट एज प्रोवाइडर, इनेबलर एंड कैटलिस्ट फॉर इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर फाइनेंसिंग. सो बैंक क्यों नहीं कर सकते ये? बिकॉज बैंक के केस में बैंक्स के पास शॉर्ट टर्म रिसोर्सेस आती हैं एंड दे कैन नॉट लेंड जब वो इतने लॉन्ग टर्म प्रोजेक्ट्स के लिए लेंड करते हैं तो एक प्रॉब्लम आती है एसेट लायबिलिटी मिसमैच की. सो दैट्स वाई एक स्पेसिफिक इंस्टीट्यूशन बना रहे हैं हम DFI, जो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर फाइनेंसिंग को इनेबल करेगा, प्रोवाइड करेगा, इनेबल करेगा और कैटलिस्ट एक्ट करेगा. दूसरा मेजर क्या है? ऑब्वियसली गवर्नमेंट ने ऑलरेडी कई इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर प्रोजेक्ट्स क्रिएट कर रखे हैं, राइट? तो उन इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर प्रोजेक्ट्स को गवर्नमेंट विल ट्राई टू मोनेटाइज एंड दैट इज नोन एज नेशनल मोनेटाइजेशन पाइपलाइन. लाइक गवर्नमेंट एक लिस्ट बना लेगी व्हाट इज इट्स ऑपरेटिंग पब्लिक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर एसेट्स एंड देन इट विल मोनेटाइज देम. बेसिकली हाउ इट विल मोनेटाइज, जैसे फॉर इंस्टेंस से देयर इज अ रोड, कंप्लीटेड रोड, सो उस पर टोल का राइट, government can give out a right to toll to some private agency, right? And then receive some financing in lump sum, और जो पैसा मिलेगा उससे नया इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बनाया जाएगा. तो इस पर्पस के लिए साथ में इसके साथ साथ एक एसेट मोनेटाइजेशन डैशबोर्ड भी क्रिएट किया जाएगा. सो दिस इज द सेकंड वे कि इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के लिए पैसा कैसे लाया जाएगा. थर्ड इज enhancing the share of capital expenditure in central and state budgets. So in this budget, an important point you should know that there is sharp increase in capital expenditure. 34.5% का increase किया गया है from 4.12 lakh crores to 5.54 lakh crores, right? So एक major increase किया गया capital expenditure में, and obviously mostly capital expenditure is for creating infrastructure. So these are the three ways in which budget proposes to arrange funding for creating infrastructure in the country. Next, regarding railways, you should know one important thing. There is budget talks about National Rail Plan for India 2030, right? So what are the key provisions of this plan? So this plan aims to develop the railway infrastructure, right, by 2030. Now this plan says कि 2030 तक हम इतना railway infrastructure बना लेंगे which will be able to meet our demands of rail traffic till the period of 2050. Okay, क्योंकि अभी देखा गया है existingly our railway infrastructure is overburdened. Okay, so that's why we need to develop more railway infrastructure. For that purpose we have National Rail Plan. The next objective is to increase the modal share of railway in freight from, अभी जो रेलवे का शेयर फ्रीट ट्रांसपोर्ट में है 27% है, उसको करना है 45%, right? And why? Because it is believed that railway is more efficient than roadways in transporting freight, but currently situation ये है कि फिर भी roadways का ज़्यादा शेयर है, so it leads to inefficiency in economy and higher logistics cost, and it makes our economy uncompetitive. So that's why हमें रेलवे का फ्रीट में शेयर इंक्रीज करना है from 27 to 45%. Please remember these points. You could get a question on prelims on National Rail Plan. इसके अलावा फ्यूचर डेडिकेटेड फ्रीट कॉरिडोर्स प्रोजेक्ट्स जो है अनाउंस किए गए हैं. ईस्ट कोस्ट कॉरिडोर फ्रॉम खड़गपुर टू विजयवाड़ा, ईस्ट वेस्ट कॉरिडोर फ्रॉम भूसल खड़गपुर टू दनकुनी, राइट, एंड नॉर्थ साउथ कॉरिडोर फ्रॉम इटारसी टू विजयवाड़ा. 100% electrification is also announced. And lastly, for the purpose of safety, an indigenously developed automatic train protection system is also launched. Okay, so these were the key announcements regarding the rail infrastructure. Now let's quickly see regarding the roadways. So in roadways, not so many major announcements. Some major economic corridors are announced. Around 3,500 km of national highway in Tamil Nadu, 1,100 in Kerala, and 675 in West Bengal. Right. Next, regarding urban infrastructure, this should be focus. Right. See, now in urban infrastructure, the budget focuses on says that we need to raise the share of public transport in urban areas. So urban areas में public transport को promote करना is the goal of the budget, right? And how it will achieve it? It will focus on expansion of metro rail. एक तरीका metro rail है और एक है city bus service. So these are the two means to for the to increase the share of public transport in urban areas, right? And for metros, दो नई technology called Metro Light and Metro Neo will be deployed. Two new technologies, please remember them, will be deployed so that हम metro rail systems at lesser cost, same experience and convenience and safety के साथ tier 2 cities में and peripheral areas of tier 1 cities में भी launch कर सकें, right? And एक नई scheme launch की जाएगी for public bus transport system under it will be based on a PPP model. Okay, so these are the initiatives for urban infrastructure. Regarding power infrastructure, Okay, first is जो भी consumers हैं, now they will get a choice among various discoms. So this is first major announcement कि consumers will now have a choice among major discoms, and it will create competition among discoms and promote greater efficiency in the distribution sector of the power sector. Okay, next is a revamped reforms based result linked. See, reforms based and result linked distribution sector scheme. Okay, already इससे पहले उदय launch की गई थी, but it was seen it was not so successful, so that's why it will be revamped and it will see उदय में reforms बोले गए थे but results पे नहीं. So now here it will be not only reforms but also results. So reforms के साथ साथ results पे भी focus करते हुए एक power distribution sector के लिए एक scheme launch की जाएगी, right? Lastly, एक हाइड्रोजन एनर्जी मिशन लॉन्च किया जाएगा. इट इज प्रपोज टू लॉन्च ए हाइड्रोजन एनर्जी मिशन फॉर जनरेटिंग हाइड्रोजन फ्रॉम green power sources. Okay, to generate hydrogen from green power sources. Regarding ports, shippings and waterway, see, for major ports, you know, all the now from now on it is announced that major ports, the operational services, earlier major ports were, you know, managing their operational services by themselves, but now they will be managed through PPP. Okay, public private partnership, right? And apart from this, India has also enacted Recycling of Ships Act and also acceded to Hong Kong International Convention for again the purpose of recycling of ships. So it will give a boost to our shipping industry, okay, for recycling of ships, and it will give a boost to our shipping industry. For petroleum and natural gas, Ujjwala scheme, as you already know, to provide clean fuel to, you know, poor in rural areas, it has been extended to cover 1 crore more people. City gas distribution network will be extended to 100 more districts. And lastly, an independent gas transport system operator will be set up, right? So it will help in better allocation of the, you know, pipeline capacity for transporting various gas without any bias, because currently there is a bias in favor of GAIL because it is a major producer as well transporter of public gas. Okay, so an independent gas transport system operator will be set up. Regarding financial capital, see, first of all and most importantly, there will be a rationalized and a single securities market code. Okay, जैसे IBC कोड लाया था bankruptcy and insolvency के लिए, वैसे ही, you know, एक single securities market code लाया जाएगा, and it will consolidate the provisions of SEBI Act, Depository Act, Securities Contract Regulation Act and Government Securities Act. Okay, next, again very important thing, talks about an investor charter. जैसे taxation में taxpayers charter है, वैसे ही finance में investor charter है, you know, to protect the investors. Ultimately goal क्या है investor charter का? To protect the investors. It will be right of all इसमें जो भी mentioned होगा, it would be a right of all financial investors across all financial products. Okay, so an investor charter is announced in the budget for protection of investors, right? Next, it talks about forming an institution to buy and sell corporate bonds so as to develop the corporate bonds. Okay, so basically corporate bond market in India is still underdeveloped and it has significant potential. काफी, you know, corporate bond market से भी corporates काफी, you know, currently corporates depend mainly on banks to raise resources, but अगर corporate bond market well developed हो जाएगा तो एक और avenue आ जाएगा उनके पास जहाँ से वो resources access कर सकते हैं, और उसी के लिए एक institution बनाया जाएगा. राइट, इंश्योरेंस सेक्टर में FDI लिमिट 49 से 74% कर दी गई है. प्लीज रिमेंबर दैट, इट इज अ फैक्ट दैट यू शुड रिमेंबर, राइट. व्हाई इट हैज बीन इंक्रीज्ड? टू, यू नो, अट्रैक्ट मोर इन्वेस्टमेंट इन FDI ऑब्वियसली, ताकि इंडिया में इंश्योरेंस का पेनिट्रेशन और डेंसिटी बढ़े. ओके, नेक्स्ट, again an asset reconstruction company limited and asset management company is to be set up. That is, it will be the proposal of a bad bank. It will be a bad bank. Basically what these companies will do, these will take up, you know, these will help in dealing with stressed asset. How? From banks they will take up the stressed asset at discounted rate, and then further they will either try to run it on their own, or they will either, you know, auction it off to someone else who could run those, you know, stressed assets in better way, right? So in this way it will help up in cleaning the balance sheet of the banks. Okay, and then banks can lend more in the economy and it will lead to economic growth. Then a world class fintech hub will be set up at GIFT IFSC, right? And lastly, you know, there would be regulated gold exchanges will be established. ओके, टू, यू नो, बेसिकली क्योंकि गोल्ड काफ़ी हमारी कंट्री में यूज़ होता है एंड इट इज़ इन फिजिकल फॉर्म, राइट. अगर गोल्ड एक्सचेंजेस हो जाएंगे तो दैट विल बी कन्वर्टेड, यू नो, it is locked, does not come into investment in economy. But अगर gold exchanges बना लेंगे, so it will ensure कि gold के through जो gold में जो हमारी value है, जो resources locked है, that comes as an investment in the economy. And SEBI will be the regulator, and Warehouse Development Regulation Authority will create the ecosystem necessary for gold exchanges. Okay, so SEBI will be the regulator for the gold exchanges. Please remember this, right? And WDRA, Warehouse Development Regulatory Authority, will help in creating the ecosystem. Right? Regarding the company matters, basically again this mainly focuses on ease of doing business. Okay, ease of doing business, right? So first and foremost, decriminalization of LLP, Limited Liability Partnership Act. Already Companies Act was decriminalized. Following that, LLP Act is also decriminalized. Okay. Next is the definition of small company under the Companies Act 2013 is revised. Why? Because it will lead to more companies coming under the definition of small companies, and that would really ease their compliance. Okay. And the change is that the threshold for paid up capital was earlier not exceeding 50 lakh, now it is not exceeding 2 crore. Secondly, turnover was earlier not exceeding 2 crore, now it is not exceeding 20 crore. Okay. Now there are various incentives for incorporation of one person company. One person company के लिए काफी initiatives propose किए गए हैं बजट में. First one is to allowing OPCs to grow without any restrictions on paid up capital and turnover. The next one is, this is very important, जो बार बार न्यूज में आपने सुना भी होगा, to allow NRIs to incorporate OPCs in India. So it will encourage NRIs to set up more companies in India, come here and set up their companies. This would create more employment, right, and also contribute to economic growth of the country. Next, allowing the conversion of OPCs to any other type of company, कभी भी कभी भी ये companies किसी और type की OPCs के अलावा कोई और form ले सकती हैं. Okay. Lastly, regarding disinvestment and strategic sale, right, the budget says that 2 public sector banks will be privatized and 1 general insurance company, right. There will be IPO of LIC, and most importantly, you should see that budget also talks about the policy of strategic disinvestment of PSEs, right. As per these policies, there are only 4 areas. As per these policies, there are only 4 areas which are now identified as strategic, and in these strategic areas, government will maintain bare minimum presence through central public sector enterprises. ये 4 areas कौन से हैं जिनको strategic sector कहा गया है? These are atomic energy and space. Please remember these, very important from prelims perspective. So these 4 sectors are atomic energy, space and defense, transport and telecommunication, power, petroleum, coal and other minerals, banking, insurance and financial services. Okay. And lastly, जो बाकी sectors है उसमें जो CPSEs होंगे, central public sector enterprises, they will be privatized. Okay. So this is it for the second pillar of our budget. Please stay tuned for more such videos on other pillars of the budget. Thank you very much.